Hey, what's going on everyone? Clocked It here, and I am going to talk about my top 20 Sega Saturn games. Now, if anyone knows me, you should know that I love my Sega Saturn. It's my second favorite console ever. And when I say second favorite, the N64 is my favorite console ever. But at that time, the N64 and the Saturn were just like this. And sometimes I could put the Saturn to number one, but I still think overall the N64 is my favourite console ever. It is. But what am I talking about? This is the top 20 Sega Saturn game. Now, I had a Saturn, not long after they came out. I got mine in 1996, even though it came out in 95 in the UK. And even at the time when the Saturn was out, I started working in video game retail. I started working in electronics boutique. So I saw how the Saturn was selling and being viewed during that generation. And funny enough, when I got my job at the Electronics Boutique, the manager, who's my close good friend to this day, the interview pretty much went like, so what do you know about video games? And my mind just goes blank. I'm crap at interviews. My mind just went blank and I just went, I love the Sega Saturn. And he looked at me. I just went, okay, that's fine. When can you start? I was like, let's go. But anyway, the Saturn means too much to me. I got nearly 100 games for my Saturn. Most of them bought back then when the Saturn was out. And narrowing this down to 20 games was so hard. I've left out so many games that even I just want to talk about that I just love. I mean, I love pretty much most of the games I own for my Saturn. So just picking 20 was difficult. But in this list, I went for nostalgia. I went with my heart. And there would be some games missed off this list where some Saturn fans might shame me. I don't care. I was there when a Saturn was out. These are the games I fell in love with and had the biggest impact on me. So that's what I'm going to talk about. These are, I'm not going to say categorically because some of these games I can even shift around. God, Clocked It, just get to it. These are the top 20 Sega Saturn games I've picked for myself. My top 20 Sega Saturn games. Let's go. So at number 20, we have Athlete Kings. I love this game. So Athlete Kings is an Olympic Games game. And when this came out, a lot of us were playing like international track and field and stuff on the PS1. I love international track and field. I've got it on the PS1. Me and my friends played it loads. Unfortunately, no one played Athlete Kings with me that much because everyone was just playing international track and field. So I played a lot of Athlete Kings by myself and getting my own world records and stuff like that. But this game, and also Winter Heat, which I didn't include. I'm not doing that. I got Winter Heat behind me. This game, graphically, I think is one of the best games of that entire generation. Out of the PlayStation 1, the N64 and Sega Saturn, those three main consoles. Graphically, this game is stunning. It's 60 frames per second, which, at the time as well, which is... so rare during that generation on all three platforms. And it's in the Saturn's high-res mode as well, I believe. But it looks absolutely stunning, and all the games in here that are just really, really playable. Just whether it's a 100-meter sprint, the hurdles, the long jump, the pole vaulting. It's just. One of my favorites is also the discus throw as well, which I freaking loved. I played that loads. But Athlete Kings is just so much fun, even in single player, just playing these sporting events. And they've got so much character and stuff. I used to go, the Afro guy, oh god, why can't I remember his name? Don't matter. Big guy, big Afro, he was the UK character. I used to go him all the time. Because he was from the UK. I always thought he's a weird looking character for the UK. Not he's black and he's got a big afro. But it's just, he just looked like if you were going to put that character and say, where's he from? You're not going to say the UK. But anyway, going off on a tangent there. Athlete Kings is a Sega Saturn must play. Just play it. It's freaking awesome. So much fun. breaking all world records, and just have fun just playing the game. I played the crap out of this game. Mashing it. I used to, like, with the controller, I put the controller flat and I'd actually rub my finger like that over the buttons, which I do on the PS1 as well for track and field. And I remember my fingernail getting hot and burning. It's just like, you do it so fast. But anyway, Athlete Kings, freaking awesome. Number 20, Sega Saturn game, loved it. At number 19, we have the Discworld 2, Mission Presumed. Now, there's a game. You're probably going to think it's an odd game to have in your top 20 Sega Saturn games, but a lot of people forget back then, point and clicks on PC especially were huge, and these were another form of adventure. They still are today. And even though they might be done in different guises, like with the Wolf Among Us and stuff like that, but these were proper point and clicks. You move the cursor around and click everything like that. I got introduced to the Discworld through the video games I discovered on the Sega Saturn, and it's because of these games I discovered my favorite author ever, who was Terry Pratchett. Rest in peace. But Discworld Presumed is a sequel to the Discworld, the first game, and it's also kind of based off the books. The very first Terry Pratchett book was The Color of Magic, and the Discworld 2 has elements of Mort in it as well, where you have the Grim Reaper, Death, whose favourite food is curry in the Discworld series and in these games. But graphically, this game was a massive step up from the original Discworld game. And once again, Eric Idle returns to voice Rincewind, who is the main wizard characters in the game. The writing and the dialogue in this game is just pure British Monty Python like comedy, and I can't recommend it enough. One thing they did do with the sequel is not make the puzzles as obscure, so I did actually need a guide for this game, which I did for the first game, but I actually got through this game entirely by myself.
Well, the animation budget's increased at least. Well, of course that's a good thing. It means they haven't spent as much on plot, doesn't it? They've probably halved the number of insane object puzzles for a start. Sorry, I mean clever lateral thinking exercises, of course.
And I played it over and over to the point where I actually knew so many lines in this game off the top of my head. It's like at the beginning, he's like, I knew a farmer and I knew him well, and he had some kind of animal, I think. I'm so sorry.
I knew a farmer and I knew him well, and he had some kind of animal, I think.
But there's so many great lines in this game, and graphically, I was so impressed by the character models and stuff and the animation. The Discworld 2, I freaking love this game so much. And if you can play it, it's on PC, it was on the Saturn obviously, and PS1 as well at the time. If you like point and clicks, check out the Discworld 2. It means so much to me.
There's a place you're always welcome, that's as nice as it can be. Everyone can get in, 'cause it's absolutely free. That's death. No need to take a breath, just lie around all day with not a single bill to pay. Hooray!
At number 18, we have Guardian Heroes. It's by Treasure. Now, these cases for the Sega Saturn. So I gotta be careful when you open these things sometimes. Guardian Heroes. My friends, the manager of the store, actually helped introduce me to Guardian Heroes. And we did play some multiplayer and stuff. I did primarily play this mostly by myself. I did experience a bit of multiplayer on it. But Guardian Heroes is just a classic side-scrolling 2D beat-em-up, but with RPG elements. So as you go through the stages, you actually level up as you defeat characters and stuff. And you can apply those stats to your character, whether it's strength, skill, the usual stuff that you can build up, magic, all that type of stuff, to to focus your character as you go through the stage. And another awesome thing about this game is that it's actually got split branches. So you get to decide which way you want to go through the level, and it is a very, if you want to experience every single level, there's a very specific way that you go through. But if you decide to go a different way, then you'll skip like stage 3 and 4 and end up on stage 5, which the story will progress you to and stuff. So it has a lot of replayability. The combat and the graphics in this game, so many sprites on the screen, and the one thing that always blew my mind was the skeleton warrior, who is like this AI character who could follow you around. He's like basically you get the sword, and he's basically the original owner of the sword, and you can actually get him to do things, give him signals and stuff to either be offensive or defensive, or just go cataclysmic nuts when he just does this massive explosion of rage that just clears a whole screen. And the amount of slowdown when this happens. For me, a lot of people hate slowdown, but when it happens at certain times, it can just make a scene even more epic. So like that, everything just going in slow motion, just because the Saturn is just like, listen, I could do 2D, but I can't do this much 2D, And but yeah, Guardian Heroes, another treasure classic. Find some way to play it, because it's just one of the best side-scrolling beat-em-ups of all time, in my opinion. And I've played a lot of side-scrolling beat-em-ups. Freaking love Guardian Heroes. Number 17, we have Mysteria, Realms of Lore. My first Sega Saturn RPG. Now, a lot of people might look at this game today and think,
"You one ugly motherfucker."
But it's a grid-based, turn-based RPG. Let's say like Fire Emblem, Advanced Wars and stuff like that. And I am just so wrapped up in nostalgia with this game. Oh, I haven't shown you, have I? I'll show you. Manuals the other way around. Some of these original Saturn boxes are just so frail now. But anyway, there we go. Mysteria. Yeah, a lot of people might look at this now and think it's ugly as hell. But it was my first Saturn RPG. And I absolutely fell in love with it. As I was about to say, the nostalgia in this game for me is just overwhelming. The intro music is just just perfect, absolutely perfect. And I even love the original 3D renders that that consoles were doing back then. They were used for FMV and stuff, FMV CGI. But I just love that style and just the Japanese look and aesthetics of this game. But it's a really, really fun tactical game. Got a nice world map that you could actually walk around, and sometimes you get into random battles as you cross over areas with bandits and stuff. Go into forests and into haunted castles and everything. All the characters are unique. Where you got archers, warriors, dragoons as well. One of your characters actually turn into a dragon, which is just, at the time, I just absolutely loved. He makes this crazy dragon noise as the camera swirls around him. Mysteria, I actually remember, do you know what? I remember picking this game up. Now, when I was in high school, I used to, and in sixth form, I used to go out of high school and go to one of the high streets, which was far away from high school, and go to a second-hand trading shop called Cash Converters. And in Cash Converters, I'd always save I wouldn't spend my lunch money on lunch some days. I'd actually save it up, which my mum never knew, and then spend it on Sega Saturn games in Cash Converters. And I remember getting Mysteria from Cash Converters at that time. Love it. Absolutely love this game. And at number 16 we have Baku Baku Animals. One of my favourite puzzle games ever. Absolutely love this game. I first played this game when I got a demo disc very early in my Saturn life, and I played the crap out of that demo disc and Baku Baku on it, to the point where I was playing it downstairs in the living room, and my stepdad, he done my head in, because in this game, once you get like a certain chain and stuff. Oh, let me show you the game as well, which also got an awesome disc as well. Nice heart shape on the disc. Always love that disc. When you get a chain attack in this game, the characters will go "Mother Ann," and my stepdad would just say that just constantly throughout the day. "Mother Ann, Mother Ann." I'd be like, "Shut up, God, just shut up." But anyway, Baku Baku, puzzle game. Basically, tiles come down in pairs of two. And you basically have to line up the fruit to the animal faces that also drop down. So once you get like a string of, well, they can eat one straight away, but the more fruit that you chain up together, like say 4 bananas or stuff, and then the monkey comes down, lands next to the bananas, that's a big head, a 3D head of the monkey would grow, and then start eating the bananas in the chain. It's just so much fun. The later levels get really difficult. Like with many puzzle games, but the soundtrack to this game is great as well. I'm so sorry. I love video game music, so I just always sing video game music and make myself look like an idiot. But yeah, Baku Baku, one of the best puzzle games ever made. I would say it's the best puzzle game on the Sega Saturn, personally. But if you haven't played Baku Baku, please do. One of my favourite Saturn games. Obviously, because it's in my top 20. At number 15, we have Fighters Megamix. Oh. One of the best fighting games of this generation. That generation. I'm still living in the past, people. Fighters Megamix is actually a mixture of Sega characters. You've got Virtual Fighter characters, Fighting Viper characters, and it's also got a mix of like Sonic characters. Everyone knows the Daytona card is in there as well now. You also got like Janet from Virtual Cop 2. But Fighting Vipers is just so much fun. It plays more like a Fighting Vipers game than a Virtual Fighter game. So I put this more in the line of Fighting Vipers series than anything else. But the wealth of characters, loads of modes. You can like battle certain like a character types, where it's all men, all women, all certain funny animal characters and stuff like that. But my God, the amount of time I put into this game. At times I wondered if I put more time into this game than I did in Virtual Fighter 2, and I put a lot of time into Virtual Fighter 2. But Fighting Fighters is one of my favourite things in this game, which is also in Fighting Vipers, was being able to punch or kick or throw your characters through the arena's fence, and the physics, they would fly for miles. It was so satisfying, and I had to finish every single character off like that, charge up a kick and boot them through the fence. It was just the only way to finish a fight. Sometimes I would lose the fight just because I kept on doing that charge attack and stuff. But yeah, as I mentioned before, I used to laugh at the Bears character. I can't remember his name. He just like it's so stiff and stuff. It's just hilarious. But Fighting Vipers is freaking awesome, and one of my most played Sega Saturn games. Absolutely love it. You gotta play it. And at number 14, we have Resident Evil. It's Halloween, right? Resident Evil on the Sega Saturn at the time was such a big deal. This was, we were just deep. I say we. Like I said before, I knew very few people who had the Sega Saturn. So the we is me and my inside mind fighting against the Sony trolls, man. I'm telling you, the PlayStation trolls at the time. But getting Resident Evil for the Saturn was such a big win. And I still personally, and this isn't Saturn bias or anything like that, I still think this is the best way to play the original Resident Evil. Mostly just because I love the darker color palette of the Sega Saturn and the somewhat chunkier characters, much like with the original Tomb Raider. And the battle mode in this game, I played the crap out of. The battle mode, basically, you got like a time limit, and you have to just kill so many enemies in X amount of time, so forth. But the original Resident Evil, in my opinion, still holds up today as a great game, a great survival horror. And if you haven't played it by now, find any way to play it. I'm actually playing it at the moment, Resident Evil Remake on GameCube with my daughter. But in many ways, I still prefer this one, even though I do actually prefer the remake. But I'm going off on a tangent here. Resident Evil on the Saturn just showed that the Saturn could have these multi-platform games and do them justice. And Resident Evil on the Saturn was the way I played Resident Evil, the very original game, and I love it to death. Great game with so many classic moments that we all know about. And at number 13, we have Radiant Silvergun, the only Japanese game you'll find on this list. And that's not to write off any other the Japanese games I got. Try to understand that I was a core prime PAL UK Sega Saturn player. I didn't get my Japanese Sega Saturn, an actual Japanese Sega Saturn, until 2003. Now, don't get me wrong, I was like 4 years after, the Sega Saturn died in the UK. I got that to get those Japanese games that I always read about in my Sega Saturn magazines and I wanted to get. But for the most part, at that time, during the Saturn life cycle, I was mostly pure PAL Sega Saturn. Radiant Silvergun was that one game that I saw. I was just like, I gotta have it. How do I get this game? So I bought it in 2003. Radiant Silvergun. And for me, if I was going to do a top shooters video, Radiant Silvergun is going to be towards the top. It could even be number one. I don't know. I'd have to sit down and think. But another treasure game, second treasure game in this list. Wow. It's different to other shoot 'em ups in a way that it actually wants you to play over and over again because it has leveling up elements. Your guns will level up as you destroy enemies, but there's so many guns in this game. Things like one gun for every face button, so there's like 6 weapons, if I remember correctly, and they all do different things. But the more you use a certain weapon, the stronger it will get, and you can't level them all up to their strongest elements through one playthrough. So you save your game at the end after you completed the game, go through it again, you still retain those levels that you had, and your weapons get even better. Graphically, this game, it's just that level of 3D is phenomenal. I don't consider this a bullet hell like many people will. I still think it's quite a classic shooter, nowhere near bullet hell like Ikaruga and stuff. But the soundtrack to this game, the anime intro, the voice acting, even though it's all in Japanese, Raging Silvergun is should be on everyone's top shooters list. I don't care what they say. Awesome game. Awesome game. And at number 12, we have the first Discworld. When I say this game, well, both Discworld games, but first of all, this game is the first one I got. When I say these games changed my life, I showed you, like my Terry Pratchett, or 2 of them at least, The Colour and Magic. I didn't know about these books until I played these games. And when I discovered Terry Pratchett, he changed my worldview. Literally changed my worldview, how I view people, talk to people, understand cultures, racism, all that type of stuff. It dealt with so elegantly in Terry Pratchett novels. But the first Discworld game is it's pure nostalgia. I did actually need a manual for this. I've got the manual. Why didn't I get the manual down? Let me go and get the manual.
A few moments later.
And I'm back. Like magic! I bought the guide for this game because if anyone knows the original Discworld, it has the most obscure puzzles that you can imagine. And the amount of times I got stuck, but I was so intrigued by the universe and stuff, I was determined to finish this game. What I used to do, I got this game, this guide from the store called Game. G-A-M-E, big capital letters in the UK. And I didn't want to spend money on like a £15 guide. So what I would do is I'd be like, go to the counter, I'd be like, yeah, I'm interested in that guide. Do you mind if I just have a quick look? And they knew that people looked at the guides and stuff. I was like, I'll leave it just a second because I'm really interested in it. Just want to see. He's like, yeah, sure, all right. He'd read it over to me. I'd be like, I knew what I was in the game. I'd be like, yeah, it looks, maybe I'll get it another time. But it got to the point where I got stuck so many times, and there's only so many times I can go to that shop and ask to look at this guide. I eventually bought it. There was a map in here. Oh, it's still there. Perfect! There was... Oh, please stay there, Discworld. Don't fall. Don't fall. Right, there was a map in here, which I used to have on my bedroom wall. That's why it's all mashed up. But it was a map of Ankh-Morpork. Ankh-Morpork is the main city on the Discworld. And I used to love this poster on my wall. All the little locations that you can go to in the game. And once again, Eric Idle. Oh. Eric Idle. Voice of Rincewind. Dialogue, writing, just everything in this game. It just means too much to me. Absolutely love the Discworld.
A few moments later.
Oh, and I had to add this back in because there's one thing in this game that I forgot to mention I used to do. In the very intro with Rincewind, he's woken up by another wizard. He's snoring away. And basically he swallows a fly and spits a fly out. But as he gets up, he sits on the end of the bed, yawns and stretches, and it scratches his balls like this.
Rincewind, wake up! The Arch-Chancellor wants to see you.
I remember doing that for months after. That was like my wake up thing in the morning when I go. I had to share that. I just don't think I can't think of any other time when I'm going to share that story of the original Discord. And like I said, this game impacted my life.
Now, clearly, this is a Hublander Amazon warrior. This is easily told by her costume, the set of her sword, the characteristic goblin-like accoutrements, the firm musculature, powerful, unbridled, straining against the taut fabric. Mere textiles scarcely able to contain the ripe, majestic swelling of her...
What are you staring at? What?
And at number 11 we have Sonic R. Now listen, I've done a whole video on how much I love Sonic R. I don't care what anyone says, right? This was the Saturn's 3D Sonic. It was a racing game, graphically amazing. We know the peakness of the soundtrack. We know this, people. TJ Davis just blowing those vocals to the moon.
Don't you know we really have to go to a place where you can feel my heart just race.
Seeing this game in like my Saturn magazines just brought Sonic's world to life visually. And as short as this game is, it's only got 5 stages. As short as this game is, I replayed it over and over and over again. I don't know why people snark at like, you know, short stages in racing games. We had this so much back then. The PlayStation got famous off Ridge Racer. It had one track with 3 different routes on it. One track. Listen, Sonic R, I love it. It's my 11th most nostalgic and favourite Sega Saturn game. Done a whole video on it. Watch it if you want to.
Virtua Cop 2.
So we've reached the top 10. Top 10 Sega Saturn games. At number 10, Virtua Cop 2. Now, I originally had Virtua Cop 2, like the disc case version of it, so it's gonna be my app, that is. So yeah, came with a disc like this, and I bought a box for it as well. But obviously, when I originally bought it, I got it with the Saturn Stunner, with a gun, the best light gun ever on any console. Love it, ever. And you got that story of when I cut this box up along with my original Sega Saturn box. Basically, I played Virtua Cop 2 so much on my big CRT TV. I wanted to make a gun holster because I played Virtua Cop 2 so much. Just sitting on my bed, just shooting all the time. I wanted to just have that gun somewhere where I could quickly pull it out and just play Virtua Cop 2. So I thought, what better than a Saturn boxed themed gun holster? So I cut up some of this box, some of my original box of my Sega Saturn, the console, sellotaped it all together and made a gun holster which I sellotaped to the side of my TV and then put the Saturn Stunner in it. Crazy. Crazy, but yeah, Virtual Cop 2, and this box is absolutely ruined. But I'll try to show you it without it falling apart, because that's literally what it's doing. Virtual Cop 2, for me, one of the best light gun games ever made. I just, I replayed the stages. It's got 3 stages. Yeah, you got the original with the bank heist. You got the cruise ship, and then you got the subway train and stuff. I just loved it so much. I played 2-player by myself, both guns. I got so good at it. I don't know any other ways to play Virtual Cop now, apart from obviously on emulator and stuff. I think it got released on like the PS2 as part of a compilation or something. I can't remember, but anyway, countless hours, to the point when I got so good I was doing justice shots, and a justice shot you had to shoot the enemies in the hand just to shoot the gun out to not kill them, and that was pretty difficult when there's so many enemies on the screen. I was getting loads of those, but just so good on the Saturn. Looks graphically amazing, great soundtrack, crazy accuracy with the light gun. Just Virtual Cop 2, too good. At number 9, we have Road Rash. What's that? How could I put Road Rash in my top 10 Sega Saturn games? Because Road Rash on the Saturn is one of my favorite racing games ever. I grew up playing Road Rash on the Sega Mega Drive. Road Rash 1, 2, 3, Road Rash 2 being peak. This is the best Road Rash game, by far. The best Road Rash game, by far. An EA game. What am I doing? What is this, Liz Cluckett? You okay? I think I'm feeling alright, man. But listen. In my teens, this game got me into rock. Like Paul, Soundgarden, stuff like that, who are rock bands in this game. And there's one thing I've never heard anyone else mention, because I don't know anyone who's had the experience of Road Rash like I have, who plays as much as I have. I used to go into you can see music videos of some of the bands, FMV music videos of some of the bands in this game. And the only way I used to be able to see them that I knew of, I used to go to the jukebox, play a track by Paul, I think it was called Passing. Yeah, Passing something. And that was the quickest music track in the game that I could think of at the time. And then if he left the controller alone, it would go to a random music video afterwards. And one of my favorite ones was Jesse. Where's the dog? Where's the dog? Where's the dog? And one of my favorite parts of that music video is when the guy's just like, he seems to be driving down the road, his hair's blowing in the breeze, and he's like, it's cold outside and I'm not coming home. Oh man. It's cold outside and I'm not coming home. I don't know where I'll be. And because I love that song so much, when I used to go out on my mountain bike, on my bicycle, I'd fly out to the back of my house singing that song, like tearing it up on my mountain bike as if I was playing Road Rash, singing that song and like wind through my afro. Not that my afro moves very far. But this game, multiple tracks, loads of bikes. My favourite character was Teflon Mike, and I used to always try to impress, what was the girl with the purple hair? Rhonda or something like that? What was her name? God, my brain. Anyway, I used to impress her, so I'd never punch her in the face when we were cycling, when we were racing on the track and stuff, but too hilarious. The FMV cutscenes where you're being arrested, or your bike gets wrecked, or you're winning races. absolutely hysterical, pure 90s. Road Rash is just too good, too good. All right, we're getting serious now. Number 8, we have Shining Force 3. Shining Force 3 was actually my third introduction to the Shining series. But the Shining series before that was like, Shining of the Holy Ark and Shining in the Darkness on the Mega Drive, Shining in the Holy Ark on the Saturn, which actually was my second RPG I played on the Saturn. But Shining Force 3 was the first time I played a Shining Force game. And just this game, I love grid-based strategy games. And the story in this game is so deep and so intricate. To this day, I still think it's incredible. Probably the closest thing I've played of now to this day might be like Triangle Strategy. I haven't even completed that yet. But in terms of like nations and intrigue with the militaries and stuff like that. But yeah, Shining Force 3 is a staggering turn grid-based RPG. Once again, the intro to this game, the theme, my favorite characters being the main characters, Symbius and the horse dude, the centaur, Dante, who was an absolute beast in this game. He was my main attacker. He was just like pretty much nothing could kill him, and he'd kill pretty much everything. So he's my main dude. You got permadeath in this game. Some of your characters die, they're gone forever. So it was really brutal. But yeah, I've actually gone back to playing this game somewhat recently, the last few months, just to play through it again. I loved this game to death. It was hyped up so much in our Saturn magazines. 1998, people. One of those games that just didn't get talked about in 1998. I don't know why. Shining Force 3 is peak. Really have to play this game. Sega needs to do a proper compilation. They really do. And at number 7, we have Burning Rangers. When I talk about Saturn nostalgia, Burning Rangers is almost peak nostalgia. The soundtrack to this game is just, it just gives me goosebumps. I still listen to this day, and I bought, which I got right here, luckily, because I forgot about it, I bought the soundtrack, which released recently. It was a 30th anniversary, 30 years of Burning Rangers, my god. There you go, there's a soundtrack CD there. That's how much I love this game. It came on 2 discs. Just so good. Burning Rangers, Sonic Team, trying to show that the Saturn could do high quality, full 3D, third person games. Now, it might look a little bit, jaggy and a little bit ropey around parts, but its animation is fluid. It's like super smooth. The lighting in this game is stunning. Some of the transparencies, which people said the Saturn couldn't do, loads of transparencies in this game. I used to love looking out the windows and stuff. You can see in the distance. Oh, excuse me. But Burning Rangers, there's one track in this game called "I Just Smile," and it plays at the end of the game. I used to complete the game. You can select your missions once you've completed the game. I used to complete the game and just to listen to "I Just Smile" all the time. It's one of the most beautiful gaming songs that I've ever heard. I absolutely adore it to death. And also, when I was playing this game at the time, I was convinced that the Saturn's eternal memory, because when I used to come back the next day, once you save survivors in the levels, they would send you emails. And I turned the game back on the next day, and it say like new emails from survivors. I'm like, how's that happening? It probably just obviously just reading the save. I don't know. I could have sworn it used like a clock system. I still don't know to this day if it does or not. But Burning Rangers is just everything that you want from a Sega game. Great characters, great music, great gameplay, originality. That it's just got that Sega vibe, that 90s crazy Sega vibe that you just love. Love Burning Rangers.
Careful.
Don't cry. You're safe now.
No, no, help me!
Sega Rally Championship.
At number 6, we have Sega Rally Championship. I don't know what else to say about Sega Rally. What I don't understand, right, and I can't believe I'm going off this rant. What I don't understand is that how people got so obsessed with Ridge Racer, more obsessed with Ridge Racer, the original Ridge Racer, than Sega Rally. This game, control-wise, it's like in another league compared to the original Ridge Racer. In another league, and graphically, I think it looks better. I think it's either up there or it looks better than the original Ridge Racer. But 4 tracks on this game, 2 cars, 3 lockable Lancia. When you want to ask yourselves what arcade gaming is, you need to play Sega Rally, because it's not just the replayability; it's the controls on a level that this Saturn version is better than the arcade version, and I played the arcade version loads in the arcade. It's better than the arcade version. The amount of hours I put into this game, I got so good at it. I was rekindled with it recently over the last year or so, because so many people were playing it online. But this game is just peak Sega, peak Saturn, best racing game on the system. You need it in your life.
Very long easy right. Long easy right, baby.
And at number 5, we have Virtua Fighter 2. In my opinion, not just one of the best fighting games ever made, but the best fighting game of that generation. I've said it before, it's better than Tekken 3. Tekken 3 was the only time Tekken came close to Virtua Fighter, in my opinion. The only time it came close. Forget Tekken 1 and 2. Trash compared to Virtua Fighter 2, although I do like Tekken 2. But Virtua Fighter 2, graphically for the system, in the intro to this game, it shows the evolution from Virtua Fighter 1 to Virtua Fighter 2, and it's just if someone said to you it's on a different console, it'd be understandable. It runs in the Saturn high-res modes, smooth as silk. Absolutely stunning. They introduced Shun-Di in this game, who was a drunken master. I grew up watching Hong Kong movies and stuff, so Shun-Di became my favourite Virtua Fighter 2 character, even though Akira was still always my boy. The amount of hours I put into this game is technically one of the best fighting games just ever made. It's not crazy. It's not about combos in this game, even though there are combos. This is like playing a real fighting game, like a real fighter. You can be defeated by a single kick that doesn't even look impressive in that respect. But this game is all about timing, distance, and speed. And Virtua Fighter 2, I just put too much time into this game, just too much time, and I'll love it to the end of my days. And if I ever do a top fighters video, it's gonna expect to see it in there towards the top. It's just everything that you wanted from the Sega Saturn. I think this was Sega saying, this is what we're going to be doing on the console. You know, and what more could you want? Graphically, one of the best games of that generation. Easily. Absolutely easy. Just so good.
Fight! 1. Ready, go!
And at number 4 we have Tomb Raider, featuring Lara Croft. This was, believe it or not, the game that made me say, right, I need to get that Sega Saturn now. Saturn had been out for a bit. I saw this being demoed in game again by the manager of that store at that time, who was also the same manager then of EB, became a lifelong friend. And when I saw this game being demoed, it was on a second level, on a Sega Saturn pod. I was just, what a lot of people don't, I don't think like to admit, that this game, in my opinion, is as influential, or nearly as influential as Mario 64 when it comes to 3D games, in terms of everything that came out after it. The original Tomb Raider was a 3D adventure like you've never seen before. Never seen before. Graphically incredible, and of course you had Lara Croft, who we all fell in love with. She was absolutely stunning as a virtual character. She had a beautiful British accent. She was badass. She was the female Indiana Jones. Dual pistols. Just, this game is just nostalgia, just on another level for me. Tomb Raider, I still think it's the best Tomb Raider game in heart and soul and levels and sense of adventure, and also in my opinion the best version of Lara Croft. I just love it, and I know once again you can look at the graphic today and think, oh god, you know, it's ugly as hell. I disagree. I don't care. You know, I this was in my teens, maybe get my Sega Saturn, and it's too good. It's just too good. We all know the great moments with the T-Rexes, you know, with the T-Rex in the Lost Valley. I love Tomb Raider. That's why it's so on my list. I just absolutely love it. And here we are, the top 3. At number 3 we have Nights into Dreams. And I have to include Christmas Nights into Dreams as well in this, because these two games go hand in hand for me in terms of nostalgia. Christmas Nights and Nights into Dreams. Sorry, make sure it's not full. You play as Elliot and Clarice, these two young kids who are having trouble, whether they're having trouble with sport, being bullied, or feeling anxious and intimidated, and basically their nightmares come to life, and they basically fall into the world of Nightopia, the dreams, encounter nights, and through their adventures and their journeys, they get their confidence back and in themselves and show that they can overcome their fears and their nightmares. I'm not going to spend the time to try and explain how this game plays. It's really not that difficult. It's a score attack game, and you basically have to go around multiple laps in this game to get as many points as you can before finally delivering the crystal that you unlock. It's one of the most nostalgic games I own, and that's in my mind. It's graphically stunning for the Saturn, smooth as silk, and the soundtracks to both of these games the Dreams a cappella version in Christmas lights when you complete the game. I play this game every Christmas. That version of Dreams is just, oh, I don't know what else to say, people. Nights of the Dreams is peak Sega Saturn, peak Sega, and you just need to play it. I got too many dreams and too many memories, too much nostalgia wrapped up in both of these games. Just everything that you wanted from the Saturn. And for me, Knights was the Saturn's mascot. I didn't need Sonic as a mascot for the Saturn. The Saturn, in my mind back then, was a new console from Sega. I was happy to see them try new things. So Knights is a Saturn mascot for me, and yeah, amazing, absolutely amazing. Yeah. And at number 2, we have Panzer Dragoon Zwei. I've done my top third-person on-rail shooters recently. You saw Panzer Dragoon Zwei at the top of it if you watched that video. Once again, when I first saw this game, it was being demoed. I later got a demo disc for it as well. It was being demoed, and it was in the forest level. You got the giant running boss. For that generation, once again, I just still think graphically it was one of those wow moments where you just like the leap from the Mega Drive to then seeing something like this. This was actually my first experience with the Panzer Dragoon series. I played Zwei before I played the original one, which is probably why you haven't seen the original one in here. It's not that the original one is a bad game. I love the original game, but this game is just with the story, the world, your dragon named Laggy, who I named my some of my avatars as Laggy and stuff, and Lundy, who's the main dude in this game. I got the soundtrack for this game as well. If I can see it quickly, I will show you. If not,
a few moments later.
No, sorry, don't have the soundtrack to hand. Don't matter. Panzer Dragoon Zwei is what I consider to be perfection. I can't fault it in any way. As a 32-bit on-rail shooter, as a 32-bit game on the Sega Saturn, I won't hear anything else. The water effects in this game, you know, with the VDB2 just stretching those infinite planes out when you first run off the cliff. I recently saw the remake for this game. It's disgusting. Don't touch it. The Saturn version is the only version you need to play. Find a way to play it. Amazing. Absolutely amazing game. And we've reached my number 1 Sega Saturn game, and I think you know what it is by now if you know anything about me. Panzer Dragoon Saga. This is my original copy. It's actually, I say 90% my original copy. My very original slipcase, when I opened it, it actually tore by there. When I started working in Game Station, everyone knew that Panzer Dragoon Saga was my favorite game. When I worked in Game Station in the early 2000s, this game was still being traded in. Yeah, people knew it was starting to get rare, but it was still being traded in. It was still somewhat affordable. But the manager, who I salute to this day, a copy came in where the slipcase was this slipcase. And I went, and I asked him, I said, if I brought in my copy of Saga, could I swap the slipcase? He's like, yeah, sure. So I got a slightly better slipcase for it. I've really struggled to talk about this game. Because it's my #1 game ever, although recently I've said Breath of the Wild is my #1 game ever, I've really struggled to talk about it because I don't know how I'm going to talk about this game and do it justice for myself, and then if anyone else is watching, to express how much this game means to me and how much I love it. Yeah, I was there day one. And when I mean day one, yeah, I was working in the electronics boutique at that time when this game came out. The whole run up to Saga, through magazines, through experiencing Spy and the original Panzer Dragoon before it, then falling in love with the world of Spy, and then them in magazines saying to me that they're going to make an RPG after I played games like, you know, Final Fantasy 7 and stuff like that, which this was created to beat, and it did beat Final Fantasy 7. And that's me saying this, me loving Final Fantasy 7. Panzer Dragoon Saga, in my opinion, is a better RPG than Final Fantasy 7. Full voice acting, full 3D, a truly dynamic turn-based battle system, graphically stunning for the Sega Saturn, stunning for this time where very few games across those consoles were doing much like what Saga done. So yeah, that run up to this Saga's release, when they said in magazines it's going to be an RPG, and in my mind I was thinking, I loved the world of Spy. And like in the FMV intro to Spy, where you see like the cooliers, like these creatures walking in the villages, walking around, I'm like, I'm going to be able to walk around villages like that. I could not wait till that game released. So yeah, I was there day one. And in 1998, up until modern times, this game has remained my personal favorite gaming experience ever. And I don't think it's ever going to be dethroned. You know, deep down in my heart, I love Breath of the Wild, and I still put it as my #1 game ever now, because that experience onto itself was phenomenal. But it's hard to shift that nostalgia, right? Panzer Dragoon Saga, and I can show you, because this is my copy, you know, I'm not as like, I don't have it in like, you know, like these plastic things to keep it safe. I've just always had my games on my shelf, and I look after them, you know. But if you want to see, there you go, it's disc 3 and 4 there, okay? Disc 3 and 4, beautiful artwork on the game, and then discs 1 and 2 with a manual. I've had this game most of my life, and I need to have another playthrough of it. I haven't played it for a while. But Panzer Dragoon Saga is my #1 Sega Saturn game, always will be, and I think deep down in my heart it's always going to be my #1 video gaming experience, just ever. Yeah, I got a lot to talk about with this game, and I will do a dedicated video on it one day, I promise. And you'll hear all my stories and everything about it, about that time. So yeah, Panzer Dragoon Saga, people. So there we have it. I'm quite comfortable with that top 20 I've chosen for myself. Like I said, I missed out so many games. You know, if I just, you know, even if I just grabbed a few here. Oh my god. Exhumed. You know, Gun Griffin's so good. I mentioned Shining the Holy Ark. Freaking awesome. Dragon Force. I tell you what, even missed that. Enemy Zero, I just freaking love. And what have I got here? Right, yeah. So like, even like taking off games like Dragon Force and Saturn Bomberman. I got these games when they got traded in when I was working in another game shop called the Software Store in 2003, 2004, something like that. And they got traded in, and the guy looked. I looked so excited to see him. He's like, "Oh, are they worth something?" And at the time, they weren't. I was like, "No, they're not worth something." I just never got round to picking up those games for my Saturn. So he traded them in, and I got 2 Saturn games I always wanted to get, just never got around to picking up at the same time. Both phenomenal games, but couldn't breach the nostalgia of those games for me. But anyway, I think this video has gone on for long enough. I hope you stuck to the end, skimmed through, whatever. My top 20 Sega Saturn games, I love this system so much. I could talk about all day, every day, and I will continue to on this channel. Let me know your thoughts if you've played the Sega Saturn. If you haven't, what you think of these game choices. Thanks for listening. Take care all, and peace.